Hi, good afternoon. This is Elisa Palma to discuss on the two different kinds of measurement, which are the validation and the reliability. But before that, I'd like to let you know that I started my discussion at 3:11 in the afternoon of December 4, 2019. Okay, let's start. There are two different kinds of test measurement: the validation, and the reliability. Let us first discuss the meaning of validation. Validation is the process of collecting and analyzing evidence to support the meaningfulness and usefulness of the test. It can be done after the item analysis and revising the items which need revision. So, by the definition itself, I have here the word evidence to support. So, this can be based on the result of the student's examination. So, you cannot make a validation without the proof that the student has taken his examination. So, this can be based on the student's written exam. So I hope you understand. Okay, let's proceed. So the purpose of validation, it's here, is to determine the characteristics of the whole test itself, namely the validity and the reliability of the test. So it based on the whole test itself. And there is also another definition of validity to differentiate from the word validation. Validity is the extent to which a test measures what it purports to measure, or as referring to the appropriateness, correctness, meaningfulness, and usefulness of the specific decision of a teacher makes based on the test results. So validity though is based on the decision of the teacher. So maybe, for example, students' results is about or it's almost failing scores. So, bumabagsak na yung isang estudyante. But because the students has good characteristics, maybe hindi naman siya para-absent, so the student's decision may she gave her a consideration to let her pass. So, yan ang ibig sabihin ng validity. I hope you understand difference between the two, validation and the validity. It's here. The difference, it's again, the difference between the validation and validity, it's here. Validation refers to the test itself, while validity refers to the decision made by the teacher based on the test. So it is very clear here, right? Now, there are three types of evidence in validation. The first is the content-related evidence of validity. The second is the criterion-related evidence of validity. And the third is the construct-related evidence of validity. We'll go back to the first. The content-related evidence of validity refers to the content and format of the instrument. So, refers daw to the content, so ang laman ng isang instrument. So, what is this instrument? So, this can be determined on how appropriate is the content. So, gaano ka sa karapat dapat ang isang content. So, yan ba ay maganda yan or karapat dapat sa magiging ipresenta ang isang objective. So, kailangan siyang magiging maayos. Then, how comprehensive? Gaano siya ka-kompleto? Does it logically get at the intended variable? So, gaano ba siya? Ito ba ay direct sa isang naka-intended na variable? So, yan ba ay tama or tugma. Then adequate, the sample of items or question represent the content to be assessed. So, gaano ba ka insakto or tugma na yan ay gagamitin sa isang objectives. So, an example here is the teacher writes an objective. So, for example, the teacher writes an objective, but these objectives needs correction, needs an experts to be corrected before it can be presented. So, the teacher submit her or his objectives to the expert, or at least two experts to check her objectives, and the experts will, if there is a correction, the experts will put a mark for those words that are not did not assessed on the objectives. So na mayroon siyang mark, and then those marks for correction. So the teacher will rewrite all these objectives need to correct, and resubmit them to the experts, back to the experts, and let the experts will review and check them carefully until the experts will accept or agree and approve the teacher's objectives. Like this is the same with what we did on our narrative report. Before we proceed to bookbinding, our dean check all over of our works, word for word, everything, before the dean advised us to proceed for bookbinding. So that is an example of the content-related evidence of validity. So for final presentation. The second is the criterion-related evidence of validity. This refers to the relationship between scores obtained using the instrument and scores obtained using one or more other tests, often called criterion. This type of evidence can be determined: how long is the relationship, how well do such scores estimate present or predict future performance of a certain type. An example to this is the test is measured to correlate with standardized mathematics. For an example, I have an example when I was in college. I hope you also encountered this. If you have your departmental test during your college, that was one of an example of this evidence of validity. The all levels from first year to fifth year will have to take the exams of the same subjects at the same time simultaneously. For example, the math 1. So all first years and until fifth year, for those who have math 1, will have to take the exam simultaneously. That is a departmental test. So that is an example of this criterion related evidence of validity. We'll go to the third. The construct related evidence of validity refers to the nature of the psychological construct or characteristic being measured by the test. This can be determined: how well does a measure of a construct explain differences in the behavior of the individuals or their performance on a certain task. So my understanding about this construct related evidence is like when we have our panel discussion, or this also can be done with reporting or performance task. Number one is when we have our defense. So there are panelists, and the panelists will observe each students who have a very good answers. Then the students will get the grades based on her answers. Now, this can be done through oral recitation, so there is no written exams in the construct related. This is an objective exams based on the student's ability, individual uh, knowledge of the student. Okay, let's proceed. There are two types of criterion related validity: the concurrent validity and the predictive validity. The concurrent validity refers to the standardized mathematics achievement test or high criterion related validity. My understanding of concurrent validity is the student have to take the exam's achievement test. This can be done simultaneously also, wherein it can be done with this with other schools to take the exams simultaneously, and the teachers will determine which of the student has the best high or has a high performance, high grades. So concurrent, so ngayon ito yun ay malalaman siya agad based on the test exams, so achievement. And this can be also done for requirement for those students for the next level who will qualify for the next level. So achievement test, so dito nababase kung sino talaga ang magagaling na estudyante. So proceed to the predictive validity. The test scores in the instrument are correlated with scores on a later performance ability test in a division-wide mathematics achievement test. So I remember my sister, it was 6 years ago. She's a teacher in grade 5 pupils, and she accompanied one of her people in Baguio City to represent and to take the mathematics exam together with the other schools with their representative also. So this is an example. So mayroon silang isang representative in their school, in their schools to take the exam with different schools. So ito yung predictive. Why predictive? So nag-expect sila na itong best na student ko na maipaglaban ko sa ibang schools. So ito yung predictive. Only the best students can be selected to take the exams. So another way of measuring criterion validity is the correlation coefficient in measuring criterion related validity. What is this? So, are you familiar with Gronlund expectancy table? So, it is here defined as the Gronlund suggests the so-called expectancy table. So, siya yung nag-create nitong expectancy table. So, it is said here that according to Gronlund, that the table is easy to construct and consists of the test predictor category listed on the left-hand side. These are the category listed: high, average, and the low. And the criterion categories listed horizontally, these are the very good, the good, and the need improvement along at the top of the chart. So here, in why it is very easy, because the teacher has just to collect the highest scores of the students for those who got, for example, from 1 to 100. For those students who got 80 and above, 80 to 100. So for example, there are 20 students who got 80 to 100, so the teacher will put very good under the high category. It is here. And then for those who got 50 and above, 50 to 79, so if there are students who got 25, that belongs to the average level of category level. And then for those who got 50 and below, for example, there are 14 students, so the teacher will put it here, need improvement, under the low category. So it is easy. Why? Because it is very fast in identifying the students' scores and grading record the students' grades, because you only have to identify the high, the average, and the low. It is here the very good, the good, and the need improvement. It is the straight line, the slant straight line. Okay, and why there is it consists of the predictor category. These are the predictor. Nagpe-predict na lang ang teacher on the other side, so without that is not included, which are not included. So these are the predictor figure. This one. The most important is you already have this high, average, and the low. That is very easy and fast. We'll proceed to the reliability. This is the second kind of test measurement, the reliability. This refers to the consistency of the scores obtained, how consistent they are for each individual from one administration of an instrument to another, and from one set of items to another. Reliability and validity are related concepts. Why? Because if an instrument is not reliable, it cannot be valid outcomes. As reliability improves, validity may improve. If an instrument is shown scientifically to be valid, then it is certain that it is reliable. Reliability is also seems to be like the same with validation, because this refers to the consistency. So consistency, yun ang consistent, yung sure na score. So as to the validation, so sure then, because there is an evidence. In here, this is a sure, consistent score. So it is said here that it is reliable when it is valid. And it is, if the instrument is scientifically, if it's not reliable, so it is not valid. If the instrument is valid, then it is certain it is reliable. Reliable pa kapag it is valid. So we'll proceed to reliability. So here, reliability and its interpretation. So it is here. This is the most common table specification that the teachers are using. This is from if the students got 90 and above, so it is interpreted as excellent reliability at the level of the best standardized test. And if the student got 80 to 90, the students interpreted as very good for a classroom test, and this can also be reflected by the teacher's performance. 70 to 80 interpreted as good for a classroom test, few items to improve. And for those 60 to 70, this interpreted as somewhat low. The test should be supplemented by other measures, some items which could be improved. And for those 50 to 60, interpreted as suggest need for revision of test. Unless it is quite short, the test need to be supplemented by other measures. And for those 50 and below, this interpreted as questionable reliability. The test should not contribute heavily to the course grade, and it needs revision. So I think this kind of table of specification is can be useful to those schools that are that have a high quality education. Kasi napakataas, P70 pa lang ay from 70-70 is good because yung chest 60-70 is somewhat low na siya. So for me, I think I have to lower this just to let the average students to to get higher grades. So that's all for my topic, and thank you and good afternoon.